Guys, welcome back to another lesson 20. Today we're gonna talk about rendering. Uh, it would be theory during the lesson because we need to deeply understand what does it mean rendering and how it works, why rendering is important, what kind of types of rendering in Next.js and React.js itself, right? Because Next.js is a framework, React.js is a library. React.js is a is a library for building single page applications, right? But Next.js is a framework. It has all of the libraries or all of the external packages in one combining in one framework, right? And also Next.js supports backend side as well. But in the front side, it makes a lot easier for developers and it makes the performance better. It makes the SEO optimal, right? Some of the new features to React.js itself, because React.js itself um, yeah, would recommend developers to use Next.js in the official website, right? We just mentioned it in our previous lessons, right? Okay, without further ado, let's step by step do it in a practice, right? Okay, rendering in React. What does it mean, rendering? Rendering being the go-to library for creating single-page applications in React, right? For example, how it works, client side, send to the request to the server side, and are servers send this back to the is a response HTML plus JS reference in a blank screen, right? Yeah, uh, it's a it's a rendering type. But you know, rendering has is just uh, is a big deal among developers. Why? Because when your components or states or props change it in the client-side rendering, it will affect a huge impact on your browser, on your project, right? Because more memory loads or memory leaks or high storage, high IP calls or something like that, that makes the performance bad, right? How we need to prevent rendering from being like, side effect, right? For example, we have a lot of rendering types. First one is client-side rendering. It's usually used in a React.js itself. What is a CS, CSR, client-side rendering, is a rendering strategy where application is rendered entirely in the browser. The server sends a minimal HTML file with JavaScript. We also look at the screen, right? Which is executed on the client side to render the page. You can imagine. What the problem is? The problem is when HTML file will be sent back to the user, uh, not delivering, I mean, unless delivering the JavaScript to the page, HTML page will be appeared on the screen. But the HTML page is waiting for the JavaScript. You can imagine if a user something interactive with the server side or client side, that is a big deal, right? But how CSR works in Next.js? Use a fake hook or React state to fetch data on the client. Um, Initial HTML is empty or has loading state, right? In Next.js example, right? Great for user interaction, but slower initial load due to waiting for JavaScript execution. You can imagine. For example, when your data is, I mean, HTML just user interactions will be slower for the due to the waiting for the JavaScript execution, right? Take an example. For example, if you wanna fetch something, some kind of data from the backend side, it should work, and also it should be the in the loading state, right? For example, if data is higher or if data is much more bigger than you expect, it should be the problem, it's a huge problem with fetching the data. It should be slower, right? But server-side rendering is a solution in Next.js. SSR rendering, it is also this rendering strategy in it means rendering the page on the server in for every request. For example, the rendering HTML is sent to the client, improving CO and performance in the first load. You can imagine for the first load. I mean, yeah, it fixes and solves that problem for the drawbacks of the CSR. Okay, how SSR works in the pages loader or before pages loader, it's a get server sides props. But in our uploader, it's using the inside React server component, right? Faster initial render, but each request requires a new render on the server. Okay. Yeah, uploader as well. For example, it's only the just take the data in the server side and in the server side generating ready and full ready HTML file and coming back to the client side, right? Don't worry about the background scene or background behind the scenes, background configurations or background operation. It doesn't matter to user, right? User interaction. Okay, for example, suspense. What about suspense? Suspense is just streaming type, suspense, streaming rendering, enabling partial hydration and progressive enhancement. It helps load parts of a page while waiting for asynchronous operations, right? Take an example. For example, we just created in a previous hour lessons loading state or error state, blah blah blah, right? It allows loading.t6 to show a fallback UI. For example, when you go to any website, the website will just show you specific UI is a fallback, not fully UI, not really full UI, right? Just only the fallback UI on your screen. And you can imagine, so that as a result of that, you can see specific placeholder UI components as well, right? You can imagine. Um, it helps you the span and loading state, just streaming your UI on the screen to the user. Just building blocks, right? Okay, what about React Server components? React Server components is executed on the server, return a serialized output to the client. We just uh, we just mentioned it and talked about it, right? Allow fetching in data directly in components without using use effect. There are a lot of benefits, no client-side JavaScript and faster performance logic, automatically optimized by Next.js like this, right? But RSE, the problem. Why? Because uh, everything is not fully advantages, right? Everything has a lot of faults. I mean, disadvantages and advantages as well. Not fully, not complex, everything, not optimal, right? Um, Having benefits of the RSC, there are a lot of drawbacks as well. For example, if your server is just your server is loading some kind of operations for the front side, it's a big problem. All of the works, all of the tasks will be applied to your server. You can imagine your server is just responding to all of the operations. It doesn't matter what is the front end, what is the back end operations. It doesn't matter. It's a huge load. in your server, right? Yeah, that is a problem. But a user should be convenient with your website, with your project, right? That's why a lot of developers prefer RSC and SSR, server-side rendering. Uh, a lot of loads and a lot of tasks applied to the server side. That is a big problem, I think. Yeah. But server should be complex and should respond any operations to the user. It doesn't matter, right? Because a user should be convenient and should like your project. Okay. Summary. Uh, SSR, CSR, and Suspense are as a very trans SSR in the client side, SSR server side, and Suspense is a server plus streaming, right? We just, for example, it's in SSR we just created a specific file loading.t6, but CSR we just create wrap it with a suspense and fallback inside of that and loading state, blah blah blah. In the previous React.js, it should like this. Okay, and RSE is in the server side as well. SEO friendly, not client side, but server side, it's okay. Initial load speed slow, CSR, SSR in this medium, suspense fast, RSC very fast. JavaScript required is CSR as well. Uh, Suspend only hydration. What does it mean, hydration? Hydration just brings a lot of warnings or errors due to the you know due to the accessibility, right? Why? Because when you are structuring your tags, your HTML tags in a separate order, uh, it brings a lot of problems, right? Because if you if you build if you write a if you write a p tag inside of your p tag, you don't put any div or any block to your p tag, right? It's a problem. It's like hydration. It's a hydration. But when you are practicing with the project, you only the face some kind of hydration problems. But it's very easy to fix that, right? RRC, it's not required JavaScript file, right? Okay, sounds great. I think all of the data, all of the information that makes sense. I tried everything to explain you, but that's not enough. That's not enough because you need to try yourself and you need to challenge yourself on in different use cases, right? I highly recommend you just doing the research or reading the specific book or reading the next day's official website step by step, day by day, right? If you if you like building a specific project in your time, but they in one day or in day two, in day three, blah blah blah, you need to adapt to new updates and new topics in the next years. And also, I highly recommend joining a community and ask some questions with other developers and just improve yourself, right? Okay, thank you guys. See you in the next video.